the beautiful game that was created over 100 years ago is dying. Football is dying. Let's just make no two ways about it. The sport itself is dying. It's just falling apart. Just let me explain why. Because you know, you can say, oh well, sports dying, oh sports becoming less popular. It's not even the fact it's becoming less popular, but in general, the whole reason football was such a loved sport all around the world is because, you know, the fan passion, the singing, the chanting, the rowdiness, the nights out after games, the success of teams that, you know, you weren't expecting, the underdogs. You know, that success feeling. You know, there was none of this oil money back in the day. There was none of this money, you know, earns trophy. There was none of this Big Six nonsense that much back in the day. Anyone could win anything back in the day, and this is what my point is. Football's dying. Like, you think back to the 1900s, the 20th century. There was none of this. There was no oil. There was just no oil money. There was none of this. Oh, players play for money. You didn't see that. That wasn't a thing. And that's what made football so great back then, because it was all about the club passion. It was all about the fans singing, you know. You think about Villa and Nottingham Forest, yeah? They won the Champions League. They won the Champions League. Villa won the Champions League in '82. Forest won it twice. I'm saying it now. That is when football, you know, not even saying it because I'm a Villa fan. That was generally when football was good. Like, those times is when anyone could win anything. Like, honestly, anyone could win anything. Like, for Christ's sake, AFC Wimbledon could win trophies. They could win the FA Cup. Now look, it's just boring. Someone explain to me how football is not dying. The beautiful sport where any team could win any trophy is now being overtaken by the Big Six. Who wins the FA Cup every year pretty much? Man City or one of the Big Six clubs tends to win it. Who's winning the Champions League all the time now? It's pretty much predominantly the same clubs. Who's winning the Carabao Cup? There's just no point. There's just no point in having the Carabao Cup. It's the most pointless cup in the world. It's just another tin pot trophy for these clubs to win and gloat about. There is nothing special about the FA Cup. It used to be such a special tournament. What is it now? A nothing tournament. What's the point? What was the point in the FA Cup this year if you're just going to have the two Manchester clubs in it? And for what it's worth, it was rigged. I don't want to hear it wasn't. You know, I'm not saying Man United and Man City were rigged for it to be that particular fixture, but isn't it not funny enough that neither of them got in the semi-finals? The one thing I said is Man City will not get Man United. I guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. Spot on. I knew it, and I said it. Was I right, or was I right? They didn't, did they? That was deliberate. Don't give me this nonsense that was not rigged. Do not give me that nonsense. And then another thing, yeah? Why football is done is the money, yeah? That was not a thing back in the day. Honestly, players didn't care about the money. They cared about that badge that they were representing. They cared about the club they represent. No, it's fudge that. All I care about is the money. This is the problem. This is the one thing that's just ruining football. This is why Man City have become successful. This is why Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, they're just miles above everyone. Because it's whoever has the most money, whoever has the best following. It's all this, yeah? It's no point no more. It's just pointless. Football's nothing now. Villa can't compete with these teams. We got no chance of winning a Champions League because we cannot compete with these teams. It's ridiculous. I don't want to hear about underdogs no more. There's no such thing as underdogs. It's the big six and that's it. Everyone else, you're competing for nothing. And Newcastle, don't even get me started. Newcastle do my head in. I don't want to hit anything about being salty. I could not possibly care less about Newcastle and what they're doing. It's the fact that their fans seem to think they're this and that, when all they're doing is exactly what Man City are doing, using your oil money to your advantage. Oil money is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It should not be a thing in the Premier League. I'm fed up of it now. Every single club is just going for it now. We need more NSWEs in this world. Nassif, Suarez, Wes Eden, proper owners, proper money, proper ambitions. They're not just here to make a name for Saudi Arabia. They're here to do something good for the club. They're still trying. Fair play to them. Fair play to all the other owners that are, and all the other clubs that are not owned by oil money. Fair play to you. Fair play, because I'm fed up of it. This is why football's dying, because it's becoming all about oil, it's becoming all about money. Look at the Saudi Pro League. Look at the Saudi Pro League. I'm fed up of it. Let's seeing all these players going to the Saudi Pro League for money. I can understand it if you're going there to retire. For the money, fudge you. Absolute fudge you greedy, you greedy weasels. You greedy weasels. You make enough already. Footballers get paid way too much, don't get me wrong. Some of them get paid ridiculous amounts. Saudi Arabia and Qatar, they can offer them even more than that. So if you think what Mbappe gets paid now is ridiculous, we're thinking if he gets offered something in Saudi Arabia, it's going to be even more. It's ridiculous. There's no point in football. There is no point. There's no point in these flipping leagues. You might as well. Do you know what? I'm a Super League fan, to be honest. I'd say get the Super League in, because there's no point. What's the point in Villa competing in a league that's already fixed? We already know what's going to happen. What's the point? Explain to me what the point is. What's the point in it, mate? I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of watching the sport die because money and other things just come into it. It frustrates me. Because I'm just fed up of it, mate. Just seeing, Villa were linked with someone, like a free agent a few weeks ago. And I think this has happened before. We get out, they go to bigger clubs because of the money. We can't, Villa are fairly rich, yeah. We're like the 20th richest club in the world. We're not able to compete with other clubs because it's not even about money competition. This is what really does my head in. It's not about the money, but every single player seems to think it is, and there are a few that don't. In fairness, there are a few that are loyal, a few that, don't care about the money. They do care about the badge, and fair play to them. But I'm sorry, I'm fed up of just this whole sport is based on money now. There's just no reason. There's no need for it. There's no need for it in the sport. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These players get paid enough as it is. You should be proud to wear your shirt. Every time you come out, you shouldn't be thinking, oh, I'm making this much money a second. You should be thinking, right, I need to go prove myself to the fans. Do you think the Man City players do that? No. Do you think the Arsenal players tell them to do that? Probably not. Think Liverpool players do that? No. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. It's all about that money. I don't care that you want to give your wife presents for her birthday. You get paid enough to do that anyway. You can take her on holiday anywhere. You don't need the money from Saudi Arabia to make that happen. It's pathetic. It's so draining to what it does my head in. Saudi Arabia have they're just ruining football now. There's no point. It's alright, it's fine. It's fine, there's no point. Why don't we all just give up? Why don't we just delete every other club apart from Man City, Newcastle, all these oil clubs, PSG? What's the point? You can't compete with them. It's draining to watch. It drains the fun of the sport. It is pathetic. It's pathetic. Some of these players grow up. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. Not at all about the money. If Villa signed a player and I knew they loved the, they loved the club. They wanted to wear the shirt with pride. Fair enough. If Villa signed the player, and they were just there for the money, I wouldn't be having it. I'd be giving them blimmin' slack every week. I don't care if they score a hat-trick. I don't care if they make us win a trophy. And God Lord money, that ain't gonna happen. Because once again, like I say, Carabao Cup. Who's going to win it next year? Big Six Cup. Probably Man City. If not, probably someone like Manchester United. Probably Newcastle. You can say they're not a Big Six. Okay, let's call them Oil Six then. It's going to be one of them big clubs, isn't it? And for a start, do you know what? FA Cup. What's the point? What's the point? Alright. I'm gonna hold my hands up. We did lose to Stevenage this year. I cannot blame it on that, yeah. I'm not saying Villa we were never gonna win it this year. We had a bit of a howler with Stevenage. I don't care. I don't care. How many times in the Carabao and FA Cup do we get mugged off? VAR mug us off. It does my head in. Honestly, it's so annoying. We either get Manchester United, or we get this really annoying team where we seem to fluff up against them. It's so annoying. And why? There's no need. There is no need. VAR goes in the Big Six teams' favours. I don't want to hear anyone arguing against that. Of course, I will defend Tottenham. I feel sorry for Tottenham. I feel like when I'm talking about the Big Six, I'm talking about Newcastle instead of Tottenham. Because they're the ones causing the problems. And I've complained about this before, and someone's turned around and said it's important to remember not to blame the fans. The fans aren't doing anything about it. They're just sitting there. They're loving life. They're loving life. So you're telling me... So let's use Newcastle and Man City and PSG as an example. Their money comes from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Can I just remind you of the laws that come from that country? Can I just remind you the corruption that comes from that country? Can I just remind you your money is coming from there? Can I just remind you they are probably making some of that money not just off oil, they're also making it off dodgy dealings. And don't get me started with the Manchester City sponsor money. I don't buy that nonsense. Oh, okay, so the Premier League are investigating their breaches of laws, are they? Oh, doing a great job. Yeah, I bet they get dropped. It's so pathetic. Honestly, there's no point. There's no point in any of this. They deliberately help the Big Six clubs out. If you've got the money, money talks. You get the players. Football's nothing. Football is nothing. Football is gone. It's gone. It's gone. There's just nothing left. What was once a passionate sport where team passion and commitment and the fight to wear the shirt, where money was not even in the conversation. That is when football was a proper sport. That is when times were good. When anything could win anything. I saw the FA Cup post something the other day, and it was about like the last 15 years. Let's see who's won the FA Cup. I think there were two non-Big Six clubs out of that. The rest were predominantly Big Six. What's the point in that? What is the point in that? Just we'd say, oh, the FA Cup's full of shocks. No, it's not. You can get the odd one, but it doesn't mean anything. It's one game. Whatever we expect. What less can I expect? FA Cup. Of course it's rigged. Do Man City really rarely get a hard fixture? And if they do they generally win it anyways? What's the point? So boring, mate. It's so boring. The sport is so boring. It's so boring, mate. Every season it's the same story. Do you know what? What's the point? What's the point? We spend 60 quid on the shirt. You know, you buy a home team shirt, it costs about 50, 60 quid. What's the point? Why are you charging 60 quid for a shirt? Why? What is the purpose of that? What are you using this money towards? For a start, we're spending okay, so this country's in an economic crisis. England isn't in an economic crisis. People are struggling all around the country. And for goodness sake, people are losing their homes. They're losing a lot. People are really struggling. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm just going to go spend all the money on Jude Bellingham. Oh, I'm going to go spend God knows how many, about 70 million on Erling Haaland. Oh, we're going to pay you this many in wages. Okay. Okay. Can someone tell me how this is right? How this is morally right? Okay, you pay millions for transfers, millions. We're not talking about thousands. We're talking millions. It's so wrong. I don't understand where all this money comes from. How can this country be in an economic crisis? I think the Premier League has more money than England. That's saying something. There's just no way. I don't understand where they get the money from. And for a start, with all the money they make, you could at least give some of it to charity. I'm sorry, you've got millions. We're talking about Man City here. They've probably got about £1 billion. I'm not even going to get into a discussion where the money comes from. Donate some of it to charity, you cowards. Stop sitting there and going, oh, do you know what? I'm going to spend 100 million on him, blah, blah, blah. And that's another thing. That's another thing that ruins the sport. Players' loyalty. Players do not have loyalty now. Loyalty is not a word. You name me the last player who has turned down a move to a bigger club. You name me. That played at a smaller club, that is. You name me one. If you can name me one, fair play. I can't. I can barely think of one. And even... they might do it once, but they end up falling for the money, don't they? Look at Grealish. Went for the glory, went for the trophies. I don't think he fully went for the money. He went for the glory. He admitted that. And one thing that always will stick in my mind is the fact that Grealish went for glory to win trophies. So you're telling me to win the Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup and Champions League season after season is the career you want, is it? You might pay like 0.4% part of it, but contributions, they all count, don't they? Every little counts, doesn't it? As Tesco would say. Although Grealish probably doesn't shop in Tesco, does he? He's probably too posh for that. So you pay 0.4%, contribution to that. Yet you could play a massive role in Villa winning one trophy. Would that not mean more to you? No? So that's my argument. You want to tell me that I'm wrong? You want to tell me that I'm bang out of order saying, oh, winning one trophy, but you contribute more and it brings you more pride about yourself, is worse than is better than just winning trophy on trophy but not contributing and having no pride to you? Yeah, pretty hard argument. And finally, these bigger clubs, they're just ruining it for little clubs. Now, Villa and Forest are not little clubs. Yeah, I saw a post the other day and it was all about the English clubs that won the Champions League. Did Villa and Forest get a mention? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Guess who did? The Big Six. Oh, well, that was boring. All that was in the comments section was where Villa and Forest. We're non-existent now, are we? We made football. Villa and Forest made football. We made football what it is today. We played our part. Did Man City fudge all, did they? It's only because modern day, we're not talking about modern day. But modern day football's all about the money. There's no point. There's no point in it. Football is dead. It's dead. It's literally dead. It's the most dead sport you'll ever now see. Like, it's getting so boring because there's no shocks anymore. There's no fun to the sport. It's all about the money. It's all rigged. It's all this and that. It's all about oil money. Sport's dead. Rest in peace, football.